Good morning, Calvary Episcopal Church, and good morning, St. James Episcopal Church. I'm Reverend Eric McIntosh of St. James Episcopal Church, where we love you to light. And I'm also the newly appointed canon of the Beloved Community Initiative for the Episcopal Diocese of Pittsburgh. I want to thank Calvary's Rector Jonathan for inviting me to come and for you all to be receiving me today. Thank you. I'm honored, privileged, and I'm humbled to be before you today and for you to give me your ear for the next 10 to 15 minutes. I have to say that and hear myself say that because I can get carried away and we'll be here a half hour and of course, I guess none of us really want that today. And so I will do my best. My daughter's here with me to help me, and she will raise up her hands. I hope you don't mind me being myself. I can't be anybody else. So if we laugh and smile in the midst of examining ourselves and the pain that we have and live in today, well, that's how we go. In fact, let's review. COVID came, and this year came to us at the beginning of the year and has grown into this massive pandemic and plague and problem. And in the midst of this pandemic, we have found ourselves in this state in particular moving to a red state of mind. And we've had a falling of our economy, and we've had a quarantining of families, and we've found ourselves wearing masks wherever we go in order to protect not only ourselves, but to protect others from us. And we're living in a weird space now. Churches are closed and other places are closed and gatherings are limited. And we have all of these issues that are forcing us into a new way of living, thinking, and visual perspective on the world around us. And let's review that it is because of this environment that we now live in. We have all been caught in our homes, and we turned on the news, and we find a moment in our ugly history of racism, perhaps, where we watch a police officer kill an unarmed man, Greg Floyd. And it is in this moment where COVID has caused us to watch a lynching. Perhaps the whole world has watched a new and recent lynching. The world and America and our communities have cried out for a response. And that cry is also from the church. Yes, the church is crying out, but also the world is crying out to it. And so as we review, our bishop heard that call and that cry, and our bishop heard in this cry and felt a cut to the heart, as most Americans felt that cut to the heart. Question and response is, what shall we do? So our bishop responded, and our diocese is responding, and Calvary, you have responded, and the partnership between our bishop and yourself and with Jonathan, your rector, the idea to have a canon to deal with racial justice formed, and I was asked to be the canon. And if I'm not mistaken, in our diocese, I might be the first person of color to ever be asked to be a canon. Folks ask me and talk about it and want to celebrate. You're a canon now. That's amazing. That's awesome. You're on a staff and you were this and that. And what a marvelous promotion, so to speak. And yes, that's absolutely true. It's an exciting moment for me. But it's also sobering, because I liken it to a general getting his 4th star. And everyone celebrates and has the wine and champagne at night. But in the morning, he's got to go to war. And I'm sobered to the reality that the reason why we need a beloved community initiative is because there's something broken in America and I've got to go to war. The other day, a woman called me and she says to me, Reverend, I need some help. I need to find some help. This help I need to find is as a result of my alcoholism. And this alcoholism is self-medication because I'm so angry at what's going on in the world. And I can't keep myself from wanting to go be a martyr today to end either my pain or the injustice. The Beloved Community Initiative seeks to promote the liberating and reconciling love of Jesus Christ, particularly as it relates to racial justice and reconciliation. The Beloved Community Initiative will serve specifically to develop strategies as informed by the gospel of Jesus Christ to help fulfill our diocesan mission of love, teach, heal. And honor our baptismal covenant, striving for justice and peace among all people and respect the dignity of every human being. Love, teach, heal, our diocesan mission. Love God with all your heart, soul, strength, and mind. And that follows in love your neighbor as yourself. Love neighbor, who proved, the question is, who proved to be neighbor to the man who fell among the thieves? Love your enemy. Pray for those who curse you. Teach God with us as the Word was made flesh and dwelt among us. Teach God for us. He who did not spare his own son but gave him up for us all. How will he not also with him graciously give us all things? Teach God in us. God has spent the Spirit of his Son into our hearts, crying, Abba, Father, heal the person, because Jesus healed. Heal the church because he wants us to become one. Heal the world because he wants us to be ambassadors to go and make the appeal to the world. So what does this beloved community look like? When we turn on the TV news and witness a murder between two men, regardless of your color, you react with the words and emotion of true sorrow that my brother just killed my brother. Wonder how many Christians responded when they watched it and said, the police officer is my brother and Greg Floyd is my brother and I've witnessed my brother kill my brother. When that happens, at least in the church, then we have arrived at some sense of beloved community. Lisa Brown from St. Paul Episcopal Church in Mount Lebanon has a talk show, and she asked me to come on it and interview me. And she said, I read an article that spoke about hope versus optimism. I think Cornel West was the author of the article. And she asked, how does that resonate with you? And I said, well, I have hope in God. And with that, I can anticipate that God is going to do something awesome, amazing, miraculous before our eyes in this moment. But optimism I assign to humanity, and I've got a sliding scale, and perhaps that sliding scale is where I find myself today when we arrive at this gospel with Peter on the waters sinking and Jesus saying, why did you doubt? I believe and understand that it's Peter in all of us. Peter and all of us for sure. Why did you doubt? And I hear in those questions, and perhaps I don't have any answers for us today, but questions. And so I'm going to get my questions out, and hopefully you will keep asking those same questions before I sit down. Why did you lack faith? Or where did your faith go? How did your faith be so grand and then all of a sudden shrink down? How is it that you were able to get out of the boat when I called you, and yet as you reached me, the winds redirected your faith? What happened to your faith? Where did your faith go? I can't help but to ask, well, why was Jesus walking on the water to begin with? Why didn't he just wait till the next day to catch up with his buddies? There's so much I want to say, and I know I'll get carried away. And so I will kind of reel it in for you. He says, why were you afraid after the fact? And some of the other questions I have is, who is this Jesus? I believe they were in the boat asking, who is this Jesus? I'm wondering if they were in there and they were wondering, well, too divine. This Jesus is too divine, and as a result, we miss his humanity. I wonder if you and I ask those questions, and maybe that's some of our problems today and how we doubt Jesus. Maybe it's because we think of him too divinely and we ignore his humanity, or maybe we get too focused on his humanity and we forget about his divinity. Maybe we get all caught up in who he is, and that impacts who we are. And we get confused, and so we doubt. Wonder if we find ourselves in that place where we're asking, who was Jesus before the miracles or before the prayers answered? And then who is Jesus to you after the prayers are answered? Wonder if that has a problem or creates that space for doubt. Maybe it's, who is this Jesus? He did it before, he'll do it again. Jesus. Or maybe he's the one where we say, Jesus did it before, but maybe this time he won't. What happened, Peter, to your faith? What happened, America, to your faith? What happened, church, to your faith? And I'm wondering that we're at this moment in a need for the beloved community, that perhaps we have allowed America to inform and form our faith when we should be informing and forming America. Perhaps America is telling us how to behave versus the faithful to tell America how to behave. Perhaps we have let America do something with our faith. What happened to your faith? I think America wants to hold on to our Christian heritage but not confess its sins. America wants Christianity without Christ, I believe. America has a problem. There's some brokenness. And that's why we need to move the needle with this racism issue. Because racism should not be here at all. Am I correct? That's one of them times where you say, amen. Well, preach it, brother. Come on. No, but it's true, right? I mean, maybe America is teaching us or giving us a brand of Christianity that we need to rethink and reflect on. Perhaps America is teaching us to use Christ and Christianity to sanction our behavior instead of our faith informing our behavior. And then we impact the world around us. I think when we look at our history, America came the Europeans came to America and claimed America as its own. And because they were successful at claiming it, I think they said, God, because they did it already and they won and beat up the people here, that they said, God gave us this land. And I think perhaps when they said, we've got to break away from England, and so they broke, God gave us victory, and so God is with us, and God sanctioned our revolution. Problem is, as they claimed their independence, they also denied other human beings their humanity. And I wonder if somehow it got twisted that God was sanctioning that as well. What has America done to our faith? It's about time we switched that around and decided that our faith ought to do something to America. America makes corporations people and makes people commodities. America wants liberty without love. America wants greed over grace, hate over healing, money over mercy, politics and prosperity over peace, sex over salvation. I'm wondering what we are doing. We are at a moment in history where we could ask the question, what has happened to our faith? And ask God to begin to fix that. Ask God to help us understand what love is really supposed to look like. Help us to see both the oppressed and the oppressor as brother and sister. Perhaps as we look at the reality of politics, that which we cannot escape, COVID has shown us, we start asking ourselves, how does Jesus inform my behavior when I enter into either partisan reality? Perhaps there's a starting point that Christians ought to start living out. Perhaps love will inform our faith, and then we won't have to think that Jesus, who calls us to walk on water, will ever stop letting us walk on water. Maybe the problem was with Peter, and Peter thought that Jesus was there to make him look good. I wonder if he was looking back at his buddies in the boat. I'm walking on water too. What has America done to your faith and my faith? I think that's the question. We ought to ask it and answer it very fast. We ought to stop letting America tell us what faith looks like. We need to tell with our faith what America should look like. The beloved community. Amen.